So we've added sprites. Now we're going to talk about adding text, because sometimes you want your program to have something written on it, because we're not going to get to the audio part right now. So if you want your audience to know what's going on, you want to tell a joke, use some kind of text. Okay, so do this, change the display text in the provided areas. It even says, change me and add another text block. Add a second text to write in a different part of the screen. So let's change this. How's it going? Doesn't have to be anything spectacular. All right, so now if I run it, how's it going? There it is. If I go to text under drawings, that's, you can see where rectangles and ellipses are, so there is a text one. And then how's it going? Doing fine. Okay, so again, it has your location. So if this one is at 50, 200, I'm probably going to want this one to be lower. So let's do 100, like we're having two people talking, 300. Reset and run. So how's it doing? Doing fine. And then we do have a tip here. The default text size is pretty small, but you can use the text size block, which is right underneath the text, to change that. You can also use the fill to change the color of your text. So I'm going to bring this text size. It needs to be above what's written so the text knows how big it's going to be. So the default is 12. Let's try 18. So that should make it bigger. Yep, that makes it a little bit easier to read. And you can also change the fill, just like you would your shapes. Again, it needs to be above where your text is. Let's do black so it stands out a little bit more. Let's reset and run. Now we can definitely see what's going on. So those are other things to adjust what your text looks like. All right, next one is 14. Is this our alien? Yes, this is our alien. All right, so what we've got going on here is the scene has all the right code, but it's not in the right order. So if we run it, that does not look what we have in our sample in the instructions. So this scene should look like the image to the right. Can you reorder the blocks so that each part of the scene is drawn in the correct order? So remember, when you are coding, whatever's on the top is going to be the back of what's going on. As you go down, we come up further to the front. So that's why we always start with the background. So the background looks good, because if the background is further down, that's all we will see. Except for the sprite, because that was the last one, okay? So we do want that background up top, okay? All right, so then after that, then we should see our alien. So this is one of the few times what is actually showing our alien, okay? It's not any of these drawings, it's the draw sprite. So this is one of the few times that you may have your draw sprite somewhere else. So if I put that right behind my background, okay, it's now I have the alien behind my bars. So the last step I'm going to leave to you is to get the text in front of those bars. Kind of looks like he's in jail. Okay, so I will leave that part to you. Continue. All right, so this next part, you're going to be creating your own scene. So you're going to combine shapes, sprites, and text. So start thinking about that if you want to upload your own images to create sprites, or just use from the library that code already gives you. And so you may want to kind of go through what images that might spark some ideas for you. So here's an example. It's fairly simple. So you can combine as many sprites and shapes as you like to create the scene. So it looks like they're in outer space with some planets there. So before moving on, take a second and kind of think about a scene you'd like to do. You don't necessarily have to sketch it out unless that's what you would like to do. And then we're going to do it step by step to create a scene similar to what we have seen here. So if you go back to our document, close that tab, we're now down to 15. Okay, so here's my samples. So you can take a look at these. So the first part, 16, all you are doing is creating your background of your image, okay? Your background color, any other, so like in the example they gave you, it had ellipses to look like planets out in outer space. So I just created a general scene, outdoor, tree, grass, background of blue for the sky. Okay, if you want to get a little more creative with your colors, I did include a link to color sheets that has a whole lot more color variation than you can use if you're tired of just red, yellow, green. So it's divided by color shades. So if you look, let's look at the purples. So use the names in this first column, and then this color kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. So in our sample, so all we're doing is just creating the background. So I'm going to kind of follow what I have here. So I have drawing. My background is a sky blue. Okay, my next task was to create the grass because that was my next layer. And I used what? Pale green. So that was a rectangle, but I need to fill before that. And I'm also going to get rid of the stroke because that gets automatic, and that will go for everything underneath. That way you don't have a black line around everything. Unless you want to change the color, you can change the color of the stroke too, your outline. What color did I say it was? Sorry, pale green. One way to do it. Pale green. Did I spell that right? My spelling is horrible. Yep, P-A-L-E, green. Okay. Apparently does not like that for some reason. Okay, and I want it about down here, so 0, 300 for my position. Oh, it went away for some reason. Okay, and then my size, my horizontal, my width, I want to go all the way across, and I know it's 400 across, and then I only need it 100 for my height. So now I should have a background and some grass. My next was for my tree stump, and try and be a little bit original. Don't just copy what I have, but if you want to do something similar, that's fine. I used a goldenrod. And let's see, rectangle. So again, I wanted about here, 300, 200. Remember, rectangles are the top left corner when you're looking at position, but I don't want it very wide, and 200 should be. Oh, that might be a little long. Let's change that to 150. So that looks, there we go. That looks a little bit smaller. All right, and then my leaves, I used a lime green. So let's put in a lime green. And then that's another ellipse. And my center is going to be right about here, so about 312, 200. And then let's do 200 and 150 wide, makes it look kind of tall. I have to be told, didn't tell me that I spelled lime green incorrectly. And I have the width and my height mixed up, so let's switch those around. There we go, that looks better. Let's actually move that up a little bit. So instead 200, let's do 100. Let's do right in the middle, then we should be good. And run. Okay, so there is my background for my scene. So you can notice that this is, it's going to means, it, logo means it's going to continue on to the next lesson. So that's all you need to do for 16. So let's finish. Okay, moving on to number 17 is now you're going to add your sprites. Okay, so you'll need to start. So again, I'll show you my example. So I've added 3 little kids here waving at each other, being happy. So I need to go to my animation, and I just used ones that are already in here. Characters, you can see one of them's there. Okay, so there's my first girl. Characters. Where's my other girl? There she is. And I had a boy. They just look kind of happy. I think was, there he is. All right, so there they are. Now, again, you can change the names. So she's going to be on the right side. So I'm going to name her right. I'm going to name her left. And I'm going to name him middle. This just makes it easier when I'm doing my coding to find out where they are. All right, so now I need to go into my sprites tab. I need to create a variable for each of my sprites. Okay, so again, I have one on the right, I have one on the left, I have one in the middle. And you'll notice too that the code that I created before is still there. All right, we have yellow triangles because we haven't given them any animations yet. Okay, so next is to set animation. I'm going to put one underneath each one. And it's a good practice to put these at the top, especially when we start animating our scenes. All right, so the name right there is right. So my set animation has to have the same name for all three of them. Okay, and then set animation to right, set animation to left. And they don't have to be the same names. I just did that to make it easier for me to remember. So now if I run, they should all be, and then, oh, what did I forget? Down at the bottom, I need to draw my sprites. Remember, always at least 3 blocks to create your sprites. Okay, and they are big. So let's go back to our scale, and I'll have to do one for each of them again. So right scale is going to equal, let's try 0.5. And ones for the next ones. Right, left, middle. To not start with a decimal point because that confuses the coding language sometimes. All right, let's see if that's a better size. I may even go a little bit more to 0.4. We're doing. That looks better. Okay, so my middle sprite, I need to bring down, let's bring them down to 300. Oops, that's my horizontal. 200, that stays the same because he's in the middle. And then I'm gonna have my left sprite's gonna be at 100. It needs to be smaller. We can try 200. And then this one, we're gonna make 300. And run, and what was I? Yep, those are gonna have to go further down. So he is going to be at 250, I think. And sometimes you just forget where you're at and you have to redo some things. And run, that looks better. All right, but I actually think I'm gonna move you a little bit more, 325 and 75. Just give them a little bit more space. Practice our social distancing. There we go. All right. So now I have created my background and I have added all of my sprites. So that's it for number 17. And that leaves us with 18, which is now going to be adding text that is appropriate to your scene. You can tell a joke, just a little one-liner. So again, all my code I've already created is there, so I should have my same scene. And down on the bottom, I'm gonna add my text. Now, anytime you want a new line, you have to add a new line of text. And so if I show you, oops, mine here, so you can see I have text 1, 2, 3 times on there for each line, even though it's the same phrase, okay? But for the purpose of creating this video a little shorter, say, doesn't like quotation marks. Hi, what am I doing? With a wave, not with a hug. Practice that social distance. Period. All right, let's run it. Okay, so it's in green because that was my last fill color. So let's change that. Let's go to our fill and make that navy. And let's change our position. Let's bring it down and over. Let's try 50 and 50. We can try text size, make it a little bit bigger. Let's see what happens. Oh, now I've gone a little too far. So let's try 18, or I can make it into another line. There we are. That looks kind of centered. Say hi with a wave, not with a hug. So number 18. So even though, yes, I can go look at 17, but if I go back to 17 again, because these lessons or these parts are all linked, it will still have what you did on 18. Okay, so that will be it for lesson 6. Like I said, there was a lot to go through here, so hopefully you're able to get through all of it. Again, with these videos, pause them, move on, do what you need to do.